Hi guys, welcome to Brass Bootcamp. Today I'm going to be going through the grade 3 pieces in Easy Winners by Peter Lawrence. I'm going to start off with Pavane. Really nice tune, this one. So basically, what is it testing you on for grade 3? So some rhythmical difficulties. There's quite a few extra sharps and flats to have a think about, sharps in particular, and it's also increasing the range for some high notes as well. So look at your key signature. You've got F sharp, make sure second valve for all your F sharps. The first phrase has got a D sharp, which is 2 and 3 at the very end. And then have a look on the second line, you've got A sharp, which is the same as B flat, first valve, A sharp, first valve. Other than that, you've got some more D sharps on the last line. The phrase structure of this piece, we've got the first phrase, which is the first line. Each phrase has got pretty much the same rhythm in each of the phrases, which is nice and easy. So once you've worked out the rhythm for the first phrase, you've pretty much worked out all the piece. The third phrase, which starts on the last bar of the second line, is exactly the same as the first phrase. So once you've played that first line of music, you've actually learnt half the piece, which is great. The second phrase, which starts on the second line, goes up quite high, so make sure sound's not squeezed, make sure you're getting nice fast airflow, nice E position with your tongue. And the last phrase is somewhere in the middle, so it starts on a G instead of an E. And then we've got the last few bars, which is the ending. So it's quite simple once you've worked out the rhythm. So nice slow pulse, andante, slow walking speed, and the rhythm is going to go 1, 2, a 3, 4, a 1 and 2 and 3, 4, a 1 and 2 and 3, 4, a 1. So making sure you're getting all those ties in there. So the tied, crotchet and dotted quaver is 1, 2, a 3, 4, and that happens quite a few times in the piece. And then normal quavers in the second bar, and then you've got that crotchet tied to a dotted quaver again in the second bar. So I'll play you the first phrase, and just note first phrase and third phrase are exactly the same. So nice and quiet because it's marked piano, really smooth and nice. So again, with all these legato pieces, there's two ways to play these. You can either say t really softly on every single note, or you can slur the whole thing. But as a listener, you shouldn't be able to tell whether I'm slurring everything or legato tonguing or soft tonguing everything, because they should sound equally as smooth and nice. So that time I slurred everything, but if I legato tongued it, it should sound as similar, pretty much the same. So that's the first phrase, nice and easy. Second phrase, going up to the high D's and E's, make sure they're not strained, make sure you stay nice and relaxed. If you wanted to play a little bit louder for the second phrase, that will also help you out on the high notes. So here's the second line, second phrase. Notice the rhythm is pretty much the same as the first phrase, it's just higher up and obviously got different notes. So nice faster, nice E position for those high notes. You may have noticed that I've been doubling up on my phrasing. I've talked about this quite a few times in the other videos. If you can play two phrases in one breath for the whole piece and make all the phrase lengths even, then that generally will help you out when it comes to making the piece nice and flowing. If you're doing lots and lots of little phrases, it tends to break up the flow of music. But if you do longer phrases of all of the same length, then the music and the piece tends to flow a lot easier. So, last phrase in this piece, which is the last bar of the third line, starts on the G in the middle, and I'll play it to the end of the piece. that's Pavane. Really nice and smooth. That's basically the only thing you need to think about. Play as smoothly as you can, and then the piece will flow nicely. Make sure the rhythm for each phrase is pretty much the same. There's a few exceptions, but it's the same rhythm essentially 4 times in this piece. So the next piece on grade 3 is James Bond, or the James Bond theme. I'm sure you'll recognise this. One of the new movies is coming out at the end of this year. So what we're after in this piece, it's in quite a few different sections. So I'll speak about each of the sections and play little bits and tell you what you need to think about for each section and which bit of your technique is required for each. So the first 4 bars, you've got to think about the sharps and the flats and the naturals, and you've also got to think about the dynamic shaping. So start off at mezzo forte, crescendo, get a bit louder, and then diminuendo, getting a little bit quieter. It needs to sound really nice and mysterious. And just watch out, B flat in your key signature. So the notes are A, B flat, first valve, and then B natural, second valve, and then back to B flat, and then that 2-bar phrase repeats twice. So here we go, here's the first phrase. So nice dynamics. It needs to sound sort of mysterious, as though James Bond is sneaking around doing his spy stuff. Okay, the next little section is all about your tonguing and articulation. So it's the same rhythm in every bar. So we've got ta 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 in every single bar. However, the notes actually do change, even though the rhythm stays the same. So when we're playing this rhythm, watch out for the tie. 1 and a 2 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and 4 and is how you would count it. If you're going to put the pulse to that, 1 and a 2 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and 4 and. So notice the tie is over the 3. That's why I was sort of whispering the 3 count. So the next note is on the and of 3. So 1 and a 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and 4 and. So nice crisp tonguing, and I'll play you the beginning of this little phrase, the second phrase. I'm just going to stop there, because this is one of the few times where I disagree with what the breathing is in the piece. So if you have a look at that second phrase with all those faster tonguing patterns, the breath marks, or the breathing, is actually written at the end of each bar. I kind of disagree with that. If it was me, I would be breathing after the tied note. So I'll be going 1 and a 2 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and 4 and. Obviously, you don't need to breathe every single bar. You're going to maybe do 3 or 4 bars in one breath. But when you do breathe, make sure you breathe. If you breathe on beat 3, that really helps the flow of the music, especially when it comes to the end of the phrase. So, if I play the last 2 bars of the second line going on to the third line, just watch out. At the end of the last bar of the second line, I actually breathe again on beat number 3. So, here we go. So this is the last 2 bars of the second line. So I would definitely recommend moving the breath mark in the last bar of the second line to beat number 3, just before the last 3 quavers. One more thing, this is a tricky little part of this piece, is the transition between the second line and the third line. Not only is the breathing quite tricky and sort of marked in the wrong place, in my opinion, you've also got that big leap from your low D up to your high D flat. Again, make sure high D flat is first and second valves, and to get that big leap, to for your low D and T for your high D flat. So you're going to go ta 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 tia. So if you take the last 3 notes of the second line and practice going on to the first 2 notes of the third line, then that's a really good thing to practice to help with that intervals and the breathing. So it's worth repeating that a few times, and then you would add it in to the few bars before and the few bars after. So again, I'm going to play the last 2 bars of the second line, and I'll move on through to the next part of the piece. So that's how the breathing and that big interval fits in the context of the piece. So the next little bit is the same as the beginning. So we've got our 4-bar phrase with our B's and B flats and the nice crescendos and diminuendos to make it sound nice and mysterious. The next bit, again, this isn't actually marked on the music either, but it changes to a swing rhythm, the last bar of the third line. So instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, we switch to 1, 2, 3, 4, And one more thing about the swing rhythm, we tend to play the quavers quite long and the crotchets quite short. So instead of the, in normal or straight music, we play ta, 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 long crotchets and short quavers. In swing music, we tend to go ta, 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 ta. So you'll notice the crotchets are played staccato or short, and then the quavers are much more broad. Even though they're worth half a beat, they still sound nice and broad. So the last bar of the third line, nice and jazzy. Watch out for your D flats and your G sharps. High D flat, as we spoke about before, 1 and 2. G sharp is 2 and 3. So you can hear really nice and jazzy, quite short crotchets, nice long quavers. And watch out for your low C sharp at the end of that phrase as well, all 3 fingers. The next phrase, quite repetitive, same rhythm in every bar, and again this really highlights long quavers and short crotchets. So instead of ta 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 ta, which is what it says on the music, it's actually do da ba do ba da with a nice swing rhythm. So long quavers and short crotchets. So this is the bar 25, sort of the last phrase of this piece. So at that point, we've got a D-C alcoda. D-C means go back to the beginning, and then when we get to the coda at the end, or near the end of the third line, we go to the coda. So I'm just going to play the last 2 bars before the D-C, and then I'll play through the whole piece and take the coda, just so you know how it goes. Please watch out for, there's no rests when we go back to the beginning. So after we play our A's, ta 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 ta, immediately back to the beginning, and also make sure you count your 2 rests in between your A's at the start of the last phrase. So this is the last 2 bars before the D-C. I'm going to go through the whole piece. So last 2 bars. So I took the coda when we got to the end of bar 16, and then the coda's nice and easy, just an A, fortissimo, very loud, held on for 8 beats. So the last piece that's in Easy Winners on the grade 3 syllabus is We're Off to See the Wizard. I'm sure a lot of you will recognise this piece. So the main thing in this piece is the 6/8 time signature. So those of you who are unfamiliar with 6/8 time signature, basically we've got 2 beats in the bar, and each beat has 3 quavers. So the 2 beats together, there's 6 quavers in the bar, hence the 6, and then the 8 means quavers. So there's 6 quavers per bar, and they're split up into 2 beats with 3 quavers per beat. The easiest way to explain 6/8 is how you count it. So we've got 2 beats in the bar, and we need to say 6 different things. So we count 6/8, 1 under, 2 under, 1 under, 2 under, 1 under, 2 under, 1 under, 2 under. Nice and easy. So if you have a look at the very beginning of the piece, you can see the 3 quavers bracketed together, and the first of each bracket lands on the number, and then the rest of them fit in nicely. So the first 2 bars, 1 under, 2 under, 1, 2, 1 under, 2 under, 1, 2. And the words of the song is, follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road, 1 under, 2 under, 1. So I'll play the beginning of this piece. I'm going to play all the way up to the pause on the 3rd line, stop just before the pause, and then you can hear the nice skippy rhythm, the nice bouncy tonguing, and more importantly, the nice 6/8 rhythm. 1 under, 2 under. The rhythm of a crotchet and a quaver is 1, a 2, a 1, a 2, a. Nice and bouncy. So here we go. So that's the first half of the piece, nice and bouncy, because they're skipping down the yellow brick road. They're nice and happy when they're in the Wizard of Oz. So the next little phrase, very similar. Lots of the rhythms are very similar throughout this piece. Lots of quavers, lots of 1 under, 2 under, or 1 a 2 a. So the main thing with the second half of this piece is instead of the phrases starting on 1 a 2 a 1 a 2 a, they've got a nice little upbeat. So instead of 1 a 2 a, they all start a 1 a 2 a 1 a 2. So they start on the last quaver of the bar, which is an a, the a of 2. So I'll play from the pause, and this is the main tune that you'll recognise. We're off to see the wizard. Here we go. So that's the next little phrase. More of the similar rhythm, but again we've got that quaver upbeat, so we start on the a instead of the number. Now the last line, into the last line we've got an octave leap from a low D to a high D, so again our tor, T, and then we've got our high E's and D's in the last bar. So this is the last note of the second to last line, so it's that low D to high D leap. So nice and bouncy, get those high E's at the end, no valves, nice E position, nice fast airstream, nice bouncy tonguing. So that's all 3 of the grade 3 pieces in Easy Winners. Again, nice and contrasting. Pavane, really nice and smooth. James Bond, nice contrasting, bit of jazz influence in there. And then the Wizard of Oz, nice 6/8 piece, nice bouncy, lively piece. So again, if you've not seen my warm-up video, make sure you go and have a look at that one. Make sure you always warm up before you start practicing these pieces. That means if you warm up properly, your brain's going to be engaged, your lips are going to be warmed up, your tongue is going to be warmed up, you're going to have your breathing is going to be warmed up, your fingers are going to be in the right place, your tongue position, which means if all the things are working properly, when you start playing the pieces, then the chances are you're going to get a very much better first rendition. If you've not warmed up, you might be making mistakes and not realise, why am I making that mistake? And it's just because you're not warmed up properly. So if you warm up properly, you're going to play the pieces much better and you're going to get much more effective practice. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and I'll see you soon.